The Golden Ratio and the Mathematics of Life by Rusty Waller. Mathematics exists all around us. Mathematics can be found in areas that are expected and sometimes in areas that are surprising. Mathematical concepts are infused in the very grain of our material world. Many ancient cultures recognized that logical order was encoded within the structures of the natural creation. Many of these cultures attributed these sensed patterns as indicative of the handiwork of the gods. They recognized a divine design in nature and were amazed at nature's order and harmony. These ancient peoples recognized the orderly and awesome beauty present in the natural world surrounding them. Everywhere they looked, they encountered the natural world and saw it laced with stunning patterns. They found that many of these patterns could be described and even predicted with mathematics. From bees to blood vessels, ferns to fangs, swirling storms to the skies above, the order found in the natural world reassured them that a higher intellect had stretched out the universe and had established its order and rules of operation. It is of note that the creator of a painting can be identified based on the characteristics of the painting. The brushstrokes, the patterns, and the design can all be utilized to declare with certainty that a specific painter created a specific piece of art. Might the brushstrokes of God indicate his handiwork? In Psalms 19:1-2, King David affirmed this view and stated, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they reveal knowledge." At times, ancient cultures feared mathematics and mathematicians. At other times, ancient cultures revered mathematics and mathematicians. In all cultures, both ancient and modern, mathematics has impacted the quality of life and the sophistication of the culture itself. Mathematics has played a meaningful role in impacting everyday life throughout the ages. In our modern age, we drive our cars, watch our televisions, sit under our air conditioning, and enjoy the benefits of technology. All these blessings to our lives were created through the inventive application of mathematics. Without mathematics, our lives would be very, very different. We will begin this study by examining the Golden Ratio and the Golden Spiral as examples of the innate mathematics found in and across the natural creation. Our purpose will be to establish an appreciation of the order and harmony found within the material realm. Of course, I hold that these examples display the logical and orderly creative hand of God. We will begin our study by examining the irrational number known as the Golden Ratio. Out of respect for the ancient Greeks, we will utilize the Greek letter, phi. While some denote the Golden Ratio with the letter R, we will recognize this value with the Greek letter phi. The Golden Ratio is an irrational number that arises naturally through several different mediums. Phi has an approximate value of 1.618, though its decimals continue to infinity without repeating. Only God knows the full value of the Golden Ratio. While Europeans like to attribute the discovery of the Golden Ratio to the Greeks, one should note that the Great Pyramid holds dimensions to fit the requirements of the Golden Ratio. The ancient world was more literate than is often assumed. For the Greeks, the Golden Ratio emerged from examination of the pentagram. The Greeks first examined the square, a four-sided object. They found that for a square with sides of length 1, the horizontal was described by the square root of 2. Our prior examination of the irrational numbers and the subsequent command of the Pythia demonstrated the consternation encountered by the Greeks. When trying to double the size of the altar of Apollos, they were baffled by the required square root of 2. Beyond the square, they began to examine the five-sided pentagon. By drawing lines from vertex to vertex, a pentagram was constructed. The center of this five-sided star defined another pentagon in which a pentagram could be replicated. The Greeks immediately recognized that the process of drawing pentagons and pentagrams could be continued ad infimum. By construction of the ratio of the longest side of the pentagram to the next longest side, the Greeks established the Golden Ratio. By drawing rectangles and squares subject to the length of sides of the pentagram, they drew the Golden Spiral. The Golden Spiral and Golden Ratio appear throughout nature's designs, from the spirals of nautilus shells to the patterns of flower petals. This five-sided star filled them with wonder and awe. The Golden Ratio acts as a guiding principle in the pentagram structure, ensuring that the lengths of the segments formed by its intersecting lines adhere to this proportion. It's as if each point and line within the pentagram is meticulously crafted to fit into this universal pattern of balance and harmony. This connection between the pentagram and the Golden Ratio is more than just a mathematical curiosity. The connection reflects the underlying order in the natural world. Even in the most abstract mathematical concepts, this order and harmony resonate with the physical world around us. The Greeks certainly sensed this mystery. The secret society of mathematicians, known as the Pythagoreans, made the pentagram their secret symbol. The pentagram has an interesting and diverse history. As stated earlier, the Pythagoreans used the pentagram as their secret symbol. In the Middle Ages, the pentagram was used to express the 5 levels of suffering encountered by Jesus. These being betrayal, humiliation, scourging, crucifixion, and abandonment. The pentagram now appears in modern witchcraft and Satanism. We should recognize that the pentagram has been used for good and for bad. For our purposes, the pentagram is the key to the golden ratio. The pentagram helps us develop the golden ratio, which in turn is used to establish the golden spiral. The golden spiral is found in many places in nature, ranging from the spiral of galaxies to the shape of hurricanes, to the spiral within nautilus shells, and occurs within the shape of many flowers. All of these declare the handiwork of the Creator. Again, he used irrational numbers to guide his handiwork. We recognize his work by his brushstrokes. The golden ratio has been used to analyze the proportions of natural objects and artificial systems such as financial markets. The golden ratio defines an intrinsic human sense of beauty. Biologists, artists, musicians, historians, architects, psychologists, and even mystics have pondered and debated the basis of its ubiquity and appeal. In fact, it is probably fair to say that the golden ratio has inspired thinkers of all disciplines like no other number in the history of mathematics. The Fibonacci sequence can be used to converge on the value of the golden ratio. The Fibonacci sequence begins with the numbers 0 and 1. These are now added to produce the sequence 0, 1, 1. The next term in a Fibonacci sequence is created by adding the last 2 digits. For example, the sequence is described as 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, etc. When the sequence is continued, the golden ratio is quickly approximated by dividing the last term by the previous term. The convergence of this ratio on the golden ratio is fascinating. It clearly shows an unsensed order and leads to the conclusion that the golden ratio is part of the fabric of the number system. The Swiss architect Le Corbusier, famous for his contributions to the modern, international style, centered his design philosophy on systems of harmony and proportion. Le Corbusier's faith in the mathematical order of the universe was closely bound to the golden ratio and the Fibonacci series, which he described as rhythms apparent to the eye and clear in their relations with one another. And these rhythms are at the very root of human activities. They resound in man by an organic inevitability, the same fine inevitability which causes the tracing out of the golden section by children, old men, savages, and the learned. Examples for the utilization of the golden ratio include the Great Pyramid of Giza, also known as the Pyramid of Cheops or Khufu, which has been analyzed by pyramidologists as having a doubled Kepler triangle as its cross-section. If so, the golden ratio would describe the ratio of distances from the midpoint of one of the sides of the pyramid to its apex, and from the same midpoint to the center of the pyramid's base. The Parthenon's facade, c. 432 BC, as well as elements of its facade are circumscribed by the golden ratio. Many artists and architects believe the golden ratio makes the most pleasing and beautiful shape. The golden ratio arises naturally in mathematics. It might be said that the golden ratio was not invented by man. The golden ratio was instead recognized by man. This awesome number affects our concepts of beauty, order, and harmony. Perhaps God used this number to help create the universe. We may even see his creative brushstrokes in its use across the natural world.